Let's talk about promos for a minute. Obviously, there are all kinds of different promos. Somebody who's doing a promo for NASCAR would probably want, metal or rock or edgy country rock. Somebody who's doing a promo for a soap opera would want a romantic thing. Somebody who's doing a promo for the Blacklist would want something else. What are some genres or styles or topics that you feel would be useful for promos?
Well, lyrically, again, it's overcoming obstacles. It's we'll survive. There was this last year and a half, anything about, especially with sports shows that were happening, shows that were very pro, just overcoming obstacles. That lyrically, that was a huge piece of the promo department. Superhero type things. I've got the power. I can do. Nothing's going to stop me. And a lot of the popular music that was used lyrically was along those lines. From an instrumental standpoint, what I'm seeing is they're liking things in a big way to almost emulate the trailer MO, where it
Really?
where it has a beginning and it builds and it gets to a big moment, drops off, goes through like a B section, lets it simmer for a bit, and then ends really big. I have stuff where they want, back to the solo piano thing, they want things that are very moving. Generally with promo, they want movement. They don't want things to just sit there. If you get too introspective, might work for the first 10 seconds of a promo, but it won't carry a promo. The promo needs to move.
Are promos almost always 30 seconds?
No.
And so what are the common time elements people should be concerned with? I mean, are there 60-second, 90-second, 2-minute promos, and what length? Because people are going to ask me this. So does that mean that I should record stuff that goes with these timings, or should I just do 2 and 3 minute pieces and they'll edit? Give them a little education on that score.
Well, yeah, you never know. Once the music leaves here, you don't know what's in the hands of an editor, what they're going to need or use or want to use. If perfect scenario is you hit a home run and you hand them a minute piece of music for a 60-second spot, and it's the perfect piece, and there's no editing that's needed, and they just drop it in. But I would say, if my clientele in the promo department world, it's pretty extensive. So, HBO promos can go a lot longer than NBC promos or CBS promos. And so, if it's a 2-minute piece of music, I would say, okay, so a 2-minute piece of music, but you might want to think with your BPM that you're paying attention to, that you're making edit points, meaning at 30 seconds, 60 seconds, that those times on the grid are places where you may want to have movement or lack of movement, a break in the piece, where an editor can go, oh my God, that's great. At 30 seconds, he dropped out the horns and the strings and it went down to just a pulse. You know what I'm saying?
Do they have to be concerned about things like a legato string line hanging over, or a reverb tail, or a piano note ringing through that dead zone that's editable, or is that not an issue?
I would say it would depend on the piece of music. It would depend on what was happening at the moment. I mean, I listen to so much of this stuff. It gets to a point where you just know, and
Right.
there's no rules. It just depends on the piece of music and where it's going. Each piece of music is unique to itself. There's no guarantee that if you don't use a legato string, you're going to have that much more of a chance. They may want that legato string to have a sense of tension holding over where there's no pulse below it, because that one string up high with in a nice reverb could create a sense of tension or pause that keeps you interested in, oh, okay, what's going to happen next?
Right. And what about buttoned endings, or a stinger ending? I mean, we all know that a stinger ending should be, nobody should ever have fades in anything they do because they're fairly unusable in our world. So should they try and write stuff in those sections? Let's say it's a 3-act promo piece of music that you've created with a beginning, a middle, and an end, and you're going to try and have edit points at 30, 60, and then an end at 90, just hypothetically throwing that out there. Should they
Sure.
try and make those edit points be sort of like sting endings?
No. I mean, you can. I mean, there is. How do I say this? There is no. This is the way to do it, and I wish I could say there was, but there isn't. It really depends on the piece of music, and every time. I mean, I've done this for a while, but every time you think oh, this is absolutely going to work, then next thing you know, somebody comes up and goes, no, actually, I want it to do this thing that you never thought they would have ever asked for.
Oh, that sounds like advertising agencies right there.
Well, this is it, and I do a lot of business with HBO promo, and all of those promo producers, they have this sort of thing in mind. There's sort of this. I'm just talking about this one particular network. They have this sort of sensibility, but they're always looking for a twist on it. So if I were to say, "Oh, do this and you'll get a placement," that may or may not be true because they're always trying to be creative too. So just when it's you think you've got the formula, then they switch it up a bit.